Good morning, Bear Nation. It's Barry with BearIndependent.com. You guys know that. Sorry for the wind. I haven't figured out how to get the weather to obey my commands. I am not Messiah. I know. Sorry, guys. My bad. I had a viewer who shall remain nameless ask me about my opinion of metal music and Christianity. Now, this viewer will remain nameless because this viewer was a patron, and typically I answer questions like this on Patreon, but I'm going to answer this question here on YouTube because I thought it was a particularly good question, one that I can speak to, and it would be good for the whole class. So here we are. For those that don't know, I am covered in tattoos. A lot, not a lot, all of those tattoos are not glorifying to the Most High, to Father God. I got these tattoos while I was the drummer in a metal band. I've been a lot of places, done a lot of things, including being in metal bands. And no, I'm not going to tell you what bands they were because it's not something that I'm particularly proud of. So, I spent about a decade, 3 or 4 years heavy. Like, that was my job. That's what I did. Although really it was always kind of a side gig. We weren't that famous, but we played a lot of shows, recorded a good bit, and so forth and so on. And then for several years after that, as not even a hobby, but as a pastime, I played drums in metal bands. And then I stopped playing drums altogether for a good long while. And then I started playing drums again in worship bands after I had given my life back to my Creator through His Son, Yeshua Messiah. So, and to be clear, the type of metal that I played was satanic black metal. And I was big into black metal, death metal, melodic death metal. Never been a big fan of power metal per se, but some I was into. And I mean, and then of course, the big four. When I was growing up, I heard Master of Puppets by Metallica and Cowboys from Hell by Pantera in the same afternoon, and I knew this is it. I'm a metalhead. Whatever this is, I'm in. I want to do this. Taught myself to play drums along to those albums, and quickly got garnered the attention of some pretty good musicians in my area who were twice my age, but who wanted to jam, and the rest is history, as they say. So, that being said, is there metal music that glorifies the Father? Yes. But a lot of it does not. So, there are bands. Devil Driver comes to mind. Handful of others that, and all these bands are going to sound like secular metal, right? But they have a Christ edifying message, as they should. I think it's really important to think about logically, and then also feel with your heart. When you listen to this music, do you feel closer to Father God or farther away from Father God? I give you an example. There's a band called Affector, A-F-F-E-C-T-O-R, Affector, that is like a prog metal band, like progressive power metal-ish kind of band. They have an album called Harmageddon, and they have a song on that album called Harmageddon that is freaking wonderful. It's a really good song. And at about 10 minutes 30 seconds, because it's a long song, but right around 10:30, there is a guitar solo that is absolutely insane. And the way the whole song builds to that point, and then is, you know, the tension is created through the entirety of the song, 10 minutes of this song to get to that point. I'm watching a female goat butt heads with a rooster and the rooster is jumping up and spurring the goat because they both want the same pile of chicken feed. The joys of homesteading. But the whole song builds to it builds tension to that point, 10 minutes in, and then resolves that tension at this solo. It's just epic, and it's really good. It's really, really, really good. And every time I hear that solo, I think, praise Yah. Damn, this is good. Like, that guy's got it. That guy has the spirit on him right now. The guitarist, I think his name is Daniel Fries. He's a German guy, and he can get after it. And so when I hear that, I think, yeah, praise the Father. Different example. There's a band called Enoch. They have a track called Loner that usually comes on the playlist that I watch that on shortly after that Harmageddon song. And it's not a bad song. It's not my cup of tea musically, because frankly, it's a pretty simple song, and I like complex music. I like to be challenged. I want my brain to have to compute what I'm listening to. I don't like basic stuff. And when I listen to that song, Loner by Enoch, not that it's a bad song, but it's not terribly complex. It's not my cup of tea, and I do not think when I hear that, praise Father Yah. And so everybody has different benchmarks for what good music is, because music is completely subjective. Completely subjective. If you got rhythm, tempo, and harmony, you got music, right? These are objective facts. Other than that, the rest is completely subjective. What some people think is the best song ever, I think is gutter trash. And what I think is the best song ever, other people are appalled at. Because music is subjective. It speaks to your soul. And so when it speaks to your soul, does it speak to your soul in a way that brings you closer to your Creator or moves you farther away from your Creator? And because music is subjective, my answer has to be subjective as well. So what I think about these different bands that you listed in your email matters less than how these different bands affect you when you listen to them. And so it is entirely possible for heavy metal to be edifying, to be encouraging, my dog is now eating a stick of pine. Squirrel. Hey! Knock it off. It's entirely possible for metal to bring you closer to the Father, to be in a worshipful mindset when you listen to that music. But I have found, for me, I have to be very careful what metal I listen to. Because a lot of the bands that I used to listen to back in the day have an atrocious message that is not simply agnostic towards the Father, but is antagonistic against the Father. I mean, we're talking, come on, bands like Mayhem, right? Emperor. I loved listening to Emperor. With Strength I Burn is still one of my favorite songs ever. But the message in With Strength I Burn, while on the surface, it's about this guy who realizes he can't depend on the world and he's got to do it all on his own. He also forsakes his Creator in that song. And while the music is incredibly talented, the message sucks. And it's not a message I need to be putting in here or in here. One of the few bands, the band Death. Oh wow, great subject matter. Listen to the words. Thinking man's death metal. For example, The Philosopher. You know so much about nothing at all. Ooh, that's a good one. Lack of comprehension. Talks about the consequences of aborting a life. Thinking man's death metal. Good band. Good band. Cerebral. Doesn't necessarily bring me closer to the Father, but doesn't move me farther away from Him either. But not something I listen to often, because even when I do, it moves me back into a state of mind and a heart state that's further, or has the potential to become further from my Creator. And it reminds me of my old me. And my old me was not a good person in the eyes of my Creator or in my own eyes. So, guard your heart. Diligently obey the commands of Yahweh your Elohim, and listen to music that brings you closer to Him. Now, some of us are never just going to get fired up and switched on by Air One or whatever other teeny bop crap, overproduced pop rock garbage Christian worship music comes on. Not happening. I hate it. I hate it. And I have it on good authority from people in the industry that a lot of those people aren't Christians anyway. They're just going through the motions because there is a huge amount of money to be made in that industry. It is an industry. It doesn't fire me up. So what does fire me up is, for example, listening to like that song from Effector. And even then, that's kind of easy listening for me. I mean, I was the guy that would get up first thing in the morning and throw on some Belphegor. There's a band that is absolutely an abomination. Absolutely an abomination. 1349, Buried by Time and Dust, Mayhem cover. Used to be one of my favorite songs to play because it's like 3 minutes and 30 seconds of just wide open blast beats. It's exercise. Don't do it anymore because it's not edifying to my Creator. So I have to crucify this and get in line with Him. I hope that helps. Deploy awareness. Are you moving closer to the Father, or are you moving farther away? Shalom, y'all.